Time now to take a look at what's been grabbing headlines around the world in the international press. Let's start in Ireland, where papers are focusing on the death, of course, of Martin McGuinness. That's the Irish rebel who went on to be Northern Ireland's Deputy First Minister for a decade. He's died at the age of 66. For more on this, I'm joined on set, to my left, by Florence Lumineaux. Hello again, tell us more.
That certainly is breaking news. So it's just starting to trickle in the press. Let's take a look, first of all, at an article in the Irish Times. So Sinn Féin issued a statement shortly after 6 a.m. this morning, confirming his death. The party's president, Gary Adams, paid tribute to the passionate Republican who worked tirelessly for peace. Reportedly, McGuinness had been receiving treatment for a rare health condition.
McGuinness, of course, never hid the fact that he's been a commander in the IRA.
That's right, a movement that was classified as a terrorist organization by the British, the Irish, and the U.S. governments. This episode in his life is getting a lot of attention. You can read here in the Independent, so the British paper, that McGuinness was prepared to bomb and kill to drive the British out. But he was also an incorruptible church-going Catholic and a loyal family man. Now, other papers are also focusing on the fact that he never denied that he was part of the IRA. Not only that, he declared that he was proud to have been a member of the IRA. You can read more about it here in the Irish Independent. Now, he also said that he was equally proud of the role that he'd played over 25 years in developing the peace process in Northern Ireland. You can see this title here, terrorist turned statesman. That kind of sums up what a lot of papers are how they're describing him today. The man once described as Britain's #1 terrorist had moved from his top post in the IRA to once again play this major role in the Northern Ireland peace process.
And you found one article in the Belfast Telegraph which focuses on some of the highlights of his career.
Particularly one highlight, a moment that lasted mere seconds, but which really made a lot of headlines. And you can see a photo of it here. It was the historic moment when he met the Queen, or the first time he met the Queen in 2012. Now, such a gesture would have been unimaginable one day, and a few years later, he paid tribute to the Queen for having the courage to meet him. I liked her courage, and every reason, in any time I'd met her, I liked her. So it was quite a change of tone from the former IRA leader.
Okay, let's move on to the other big story of the day, and that's here in France. Papers around the world are reacting to last night's first ever historic presidential debate.
Now, we saw that in the French papers, they were quite impressed with this first debate. Not necessarily the case in other papers. Let's take a look at an article in La Libre Belgique. This big presidential debate was like a sparring match with blunt swords. In other words, it was quite boring, and there was no clear winner, according to the Belgian paper. The 5 main candidates were well behaved. They played it safe. They didn't lash out violently, and there was no real leading candidate. According to La Libre Belgique, we're going to have to wait for the next debates to see who really comes out on top.
That's coming, of course, very soon. But other papers disagree and say that there were clashes, arrows were flying.
It's really interesting. 2 main candidates really come out in the papers outside of France. The far-right leader Marine Le Pen and the centrist candidate Emmanuel Macron. You can see here the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung saying that Macron and Marine Le Pen delivered a tough duel, particularly on the issues of Islam and state secularism. El País, the Spanish paper, agrees. It was really Macron and Le Pen who stuck out and consolidated their positions as front runners. As for the other candidates, you can get a good summary in The Local. That's a website that deals with French news. Conservative François Fillon, for instance, was rather absent during the first half of the debate. In fact, he was mocked on social media. People wondered if he had gone missing. And Jean-Luc Mélenchon, you just saw a photo of him there, the leader of the far left, the En Marche, the France Insoumise movement. Actually, he came out as the winner. If you look at social media in particular, he was the one with the biggest zingers. He seemed the most comfortable. So a lot of people say that, surprisingly, he won that debate.
Okay, Florence, thank you very much for that spin through the international press this hour.